Hey guys, I am back with yet another video covering the Alien franchise, and with this one we've got information on the original Alien 2 movie and its connection to the newer prequels. Now with Alien Covenant coming out soon, I thought I would take a look back at the sequel to Alien that we never got, and how those ideas come full circle with Prometheus and the upcoming Covenant. Of course, we did get the James Cameron directed Aliens in 1986, but as is the case with most movies, there were plans for a sequel long before Aliens came out. We can go all the way back to 1979, right after the release of the first Alien film, to see that the beginnings of a second film in the franchise were already there. I've been reading through the official Alien magazine that was published shortly after Alien premiered in 1979, and it has some interesting information on how 20th Century Fox were going to handle the then titled Alien 2. They obviously could not wait to get the sequel out, already acknowledging that the Alien director Ridley Scott had moved on to other projects and that Fox was already writing a way to get the Alien back onto the big screen. They went on to give 4 main ideas where they were looking to take the sequel into franchise territory. In the first idea, the alien was only stunned and not killed from the blast from the shuttle engines at the end of Alien. Big Chap the Xenomorph not only survives the fiery blast from the shuttle's engines, but it manages to survive outside the craft and reaches civilization along with Ellen Ripley. Now for this one, it's not a bad idea, but we do remember the alien being blasted away from the ship, and since the alien would have no way of propelling itself in space, I doubt it would end up in the same place as Ripley, as they should be drifting in opposite directions. I even have memories of reading a sci-fi magazine in the early 80s talking about an Alien 2 movie with the same idea, but having the alien fall to Earth and survive. Now that one's really a stretch because we know that aliens don't like flamethrowers very much, so we can easily conclude that the Xeno would burn up in the atmosphere on re-entry, and even if he made it through that, he'd smash on impact like a bug on a windshield once he hit the Earth. Perhaps if the alien drifted until attaching to another ship and finding a way inside, then I could see a way that the alien realistically would reach Earth or another planet. Now to the second idea, here we have a second expedition to the planetoid we saw in Alien, which is later named LV-426, and this second ship is stranded there where some of the crew are forced to weather a storm inside the derelict spacecraft while others hunker down in the craft that they arrived in. The crew members in the derelict end up having to deal with alien xenomorphs, but in the end, space jockey aliens would make an appearance. Okay, so this is Prometheus, right here. It's on a different planet, but let's not forget that before Fox and Lindelhoff got a hold of the original Prometheus script, that it did take place on LV-426. On top of that, in Prometheus, we all know that the crew was split up between the Pyramid Juggernaut and the ship by a storm outside. Not to mention we got a space jockey cameo in the end of the movie, but it was an engineer. Same thing, space jockeys are engineers. So here we can see already where seeds of early ideas were carried forward into the prequels. Now for the third idea, they wanted to do a prequel rather than a sequel, telling the tale of the space jockey and ending the film right where Alien began with the arrival of the Nostromo crew. Yet another Prometheus setup. We didn't get this in the end of Prometheus, but that's only because they plan to lead up to Alien with more than one movie. This figures since trilogies are now the in thing in Hollywood, and why not? More movies, more money. So now we go on to the fourth and final idea from the magazine. In this setup, the planet LV-426 explodes, sending alien eggs out into space and to Earth, where they quote, "The film has shades of Invasion of the Body Snatchers." This one is similar to the idea I read in the 80s with the alien falling to Earth. Unfortunately, they wouldn't survive the atmosphere or the impact, so that one I can see why they didn't go with as well. They do also mention that in all the scenarios they would try to incorporate Ripley since Sigourney was so popular in the first film Alien. Now we jump ahead to 1984, where Ridley Scott had an interview with Omni Screenflight's Screen Fantasies. He was asked about his ideas on another Alien film, and keep in mind, Aliens has not come out yet at this time. He was quoted as saying, "It certainly should explain what the alien is and where it comes from. That will be tough because it will require dealing with other planets, worlds, and civilizations. Because obviously the alien did come from some sort of civilization. The alien was presented really as one of the last survivors of Mars, a planet named after the god of war. The alien may be one of the last descendants of some long-lost destructed group of beings." Now, in one of the behind-the-scenes videos for Alien, I saw Ridley bring this point up again, but he actually corrected himself, saying we now know it wouldn't be Mars, but some other planet. He was using Mars because of the whole God of War aspect, kind of hinting towards the engineers or then space jockeys creating the alien as a weapon. In another interview with Cinefantastique, he said that in many respects it'll be more interesting than the first movie. From a pure science fiction standpoint, we'd get into speculative areas and deal with two civilizations. It's been obvious that for over 30 years, that the prequels we're now seeing on film were the intended way for the franchise to go after the first movie. Why Fox never went this way with a sequel shortly after Alien in 1979, who knows? Possibly it was due to the fact that Ridley may not have wanted to do a follow-up to Alien right away, instead using his newfound fame to do other projects that he couldn't do before directing Alien. You have to remember that Alien was only his second directing job in the movies, and he went on to direct Blade Runner and Legend shortly after. I also think that Fox underestimated the effect that the creature from Alien would have on their fans, and decided to take the franchise in the direction of the xenomorphs instead of the space jockeys and origin stories due to all the fan feedback about the alien. You have to remember, the alien was so popular back that even Kenner attempted a line of toys back then in 1979, even though the first movie was rated R and obviously adult, so that shows you how popular the alien was received by the public. Instead of Alien 2, we ended up getting Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. Aliens did really well in the box office, but Alien 3 was poorly received when compared to the first two films, and Resurrection, although it did better than Alien 3 in the box office, was panned by both critics and fans, although it does have a strong following nowadays. Now we end up coming full circle to Ridley Scott today, returning to the franchise to do a series of prequel movies. He was quoted as saying that he couldn't believe that none of the sequel movies ever revisited the space jockey. To him, that was the direction he would go with another film. Who was that guy? Where did the alien come from? Who made them? Those bigger questions that the later films didn't cover. When the studio asked Scott about returning to the films, he and the writers said that Alien had been done to death. It had its screen time. The only place to go now are prequels. Even Ridley said that he saw the xenomorph at Disneyland in an exhibit and said, no, absolutely not. They squeezed it dry. They did the xenomorph and they did it well. He then laughed and says, he survived, he's now in Disneyland in Orlando, and no way am I going back there. How did he end up in Disneyland? I mean, I saw him in Disneyland, Jesus Christ. End quote. So what do you guys think of the 4 sequel prequel ideas here? Do you want more sequels focusing on the xenomorphs, or prequels delving into origins in the bigger picture? There is more to this story as well. The magazine also had another interesting article on the space jockey that fits right in with this video, but we're going to cover that in part 2 of the original Alien 2 ideas and its seeds to Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Again, if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below and I'll do my best to answer those. Otherwise, if you liked the video, if you could leave a like, it helps out the channel so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why not subscribe for all the new Alien content to come? And I just want to say thanks again, take care, and I will see you in part 2.